Hey guys, my name's Steve from PocketQuiver, and today we're just going to have a basic run through of how the PocketQuiver portal works by making this board here. If you're new to PocketQuiver, don't worry, by the end of this tutorial you're going to be ready to go. If it's any consolation, it's my first time making a tutorial, so we're both trying something new. Alright, let's begin. When you first log in, this is going to be the first page that you see. At the top we've got three tabs. We've got custom boards, board models, and sample boards. The sample boards page is just there for when you first are playing around with PocketQuiver. There's a few different designs in here that you could go in and check out and see how boards are made. Just to note, you'll have to, if you want to play around with them, you're just going to have to hit this green copy button here to be able to edit them. If you don't, if you just click on view, you're not going to actually be able to change the boards at all. The two main tabs that you have that you're going to be using when you're making a new board is board models. If you're making a model for your website and it's maybe got a few sizes, then board models is what you're going to want to use, because you can add those different variations in, whereas custom boards over here are for a specific customer, and then you can add in their name and their email address and that sort of thing. So that's just something to be aware of. But today we are going to start from scratch. Up here in the top right hand corner we've got the add button, so I'm going to click on that to create a new board. Okay, and here we go, the edit board page. So just when I start off, I normally like to name my file. So we're going to be making the popcorn model here. Here we've got the custom board status is selected, so that gives us a few options down here. So customer name, phone number, and email address, but we're making a model, so we don't want that, so I'm just going to go and uncheck that. So we've got a lot of options down here that you can fill in. I'll just go over that later. For now I'm just going to go to my file variations here and add my CAD files. So just click on the add file button, and I'm going to select my file. And since it's a model, I'm just going to go back and select my other sizes as well. And there we go, they are processing. So here we have, because we're in beta testing mode, we've got the files processing, but if you wait for them to process here, you're going to be waiting forever. So this is just a little bug that we're working on. So if you just hit cancel, oops, I just need to save it first. So just close it, go back. It's a board model, so I'll just go to the board models, and it should be, there we go, I'll go down and go back in again, and our files are analyzed. So now we've got all the dimensions in there, we've got the outlines, and we've got the board in 3D. So a next step is to add the graphics, and that is done down here. These are the skins. So a skin is basically just a collection of graphics, images, fin boxes, that sort of thing. So one board model can have multiple skins, so it's kind of handy if you've got, say, like a different fin options, or you could have a red spray, blue spray, polka dot, whatever. If you're designing a custom board, it's quite good to design variations of skins if a customer wants to change it, so you can you can design them a new one but still keep your old one if they decide they liked your last version. So I'll just go and click on the create new skin button. Yep, and so it's saying the board's still processing, so back at our server we're just going and checking all the points and their relationships to each other. So this is another bug as well. It's just the same as the file variation, so you just have to click on cancel, go back to it and reload it and try it again, and there we go. Okay, so on the left here we have the layers palette. So this is where you add all your elements. So if I click on the add layer button, we've got a whole bunch of elements down here. So to start with, I'll just add some fins. So if I click on fins, we've got a set of white features that have been added, and here it's saying fins 1. So I can just go in and I can call it fins thruster, and I might change them over here to black. So on the right hand side, this is called the properties panel, and so this is where you do all your adjustments and fine tuning. So that looks pretty good. The program will just try and guess a good spot. We'll put them in a good spot for the size of the board. You can, if you're a bit ADD or OCD, you can click on your details here and you can fine tune them. So I might say that I want my rear fin a little bit further back than what we've got in here, so I would maybe put it to 75mm, and it just moves it back a little bit. So that's my rear fin. You can do the same with the side fins, and you can play around with your toe in. I'm going to add another fins layer, so I'm going to go back, select fins, and I'm going to make it a 4+1 setup. So let's just put it straight on top, but I'll come down to my configuration and choose quad rear, and I'll just keep them white and leave the default settings, and I'll just go and rename that. Let's call them fins quad rear. It just helps to rename your layers sometimes if you end up with a lot of layers, just so you can go back and find where they are. The little eyedropper, little eye icon here is kind of handy as well if you've got a lot. Just like if I click on it here, let's just turn them off so I know which layer that I'm working with if you ever get confused. I'll go and add a deck plug, so just click on plugs and I'll choose a white plug, and same again, we've still got position properties, so you can move it around, put it to the side, whatever you want. Next I will go and add some stringers. So here we go, and I'm going to put a timber stringer. So we've just got a few stringers here to choose from. That looks pretty good. Here we've got, you can do like rail stringers as well if you want. It obviously needs a bit of fine tuning just to get it looking good. But I'm just going to do a basic old center stringer for the meantime. It's going right to the tail, and so we've got a little bit of a issue here. So that's easy enough to fix. I'm just going to go up to my stringer layer. It's sitting on the top, so the top layer basically means that it's sitting on top of the stack, so that's sitting above everything else. So I'm going to drag it right down to the bottom here by clicking on the icon on the left, and there we go, that's sitting where it should be. In this panel here we've got a couple of options as well, so I'm just going to click on that and I'm going to duplicate it and click on that, and you can't really see anything apart from it's gone over the top again here. If I go to my details panel, it's the placement's on top, so I'm just going to change that to bottom, and it's just duplicated that layer and put it on the bottom. So that's just saved me a little bit of extra work, like remembering which stringer that I chose, and I'll just drag that other one back down again, and I'll just call that stringer top. Okay, and I'll just save my work. So already it's starting to look like a surfboard. Next I'll go and add some graphics, some of our logos. So you go to add layer and they are just decals. Click on that, over to my properties panel, and then we've just got an upload decal option. So I'll click on that, go and choose a logo, and you can just drag it where you want, and this little handle here allows you to scale and rotate as well. It can be a bit tricky to get it sort of rotated and scaled exactly how you want, so I'll normally kind of get it roughly in place and then just go and fine tune it here. So take my rotation back down to 0, and I think the size of these is 210 millimeters. So it's kind of handy to know the size of your decals, so you don't have to stuff around guessing that. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to go and duplicate that again, that decal, select it, and then just go and choose bottom and put it over to the other side. There we go. Next we'll go add a spray. So we've got a few different spray options. We've got a fill spray, which is a solid colour, a rail spray, which is around the rails, and a pin line spray, and a stripe spray, which is just a vertical stripe. So I'll add a fill spray to start with. I'm just going to put an orange colour on the deck. So I'll just drag up here somewhere and make it nice and bright. That looks pretty good. We've got transparency here as well, so if you're doing a something like a resin tint, you can get a bit of transparency happening over your stringer and that sort of thing. If you know the hexadecimal code, you can just type it straight in here if you want to match your colour. So the position I want it on the top, you can put it on the bottom or both if you want. If you put it all these to 0, it'll go right out to the edge. So if you wanted to colour the whole board one colour, you put all these to 0 and hit both. I'll just start with the defaults and then go hit redraw, and that'll make it appear on the board, and it's just sitting above everything else. So I'll click on the spray layer and drag it down to the bottom, and there we go. I might just push that out a little bit close to the rail. It's just, so I'll just go here and make that 10, 15, and I'll make that 10 as well. And then I'll hit redraw to get it to refresh, and that's looking a bit better. Now I can come down here, we've got a 3D preview, so I can click on that, and that is looking pretty good. Okay, next I think I'm going to add a black rail spray. So I'll go back to add layer, come down to rail spray, and I'll make that black. So it just copies the last spray, details by default. So, and I want it on top and the bottom, so I'll click on both and hit redraw. And let's have a look in 3D. So yeah, that's not looking too bad. Although I might, it's coming a little bit, I don't want it coming over here on the back, so I'll just go and alter that, and I see it's just gone over a decal a little bit there. What I'm going to have to do here to control the bottom differently is do them as two separate layers. So I'm just going to change that back to top and hit redraw, and I'm going to go and duplicate this layer. So I'll just duplicate that rail spray, and then I'll select the new one. I'll just call that rail spray bottom, and go and put it on the bottom. And just by doing it as separate layers, we can control the properties separately. So I'm going to go and change the distance of my tail. I might make it 2. Mid-band can come down to 10, and the nose can go down to 2 as well. And we'll hit redraw and see how that looks. So that's looking a lot cleaner. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. Alright, let's just go and call that rail spray top as well while we're at it. And I'll save my work. Right, so next I think I might just go and add a black stripe spray just over the string and just make it look a bit more modern. So I'll go back to add layer, come down to stripe spray. My string is 4mm thick. I'll do top and bottom and black. And I might give it a bit of transparency so the timber sticks through a little bit still. And I might just drop that back to 30%. And that looks pretty good. Okay, and it's just sticking. You can slightly see it going over the fin box. I'll just drag that down below. One above my stringers. There we go. Next I'm going to add some tail carbon. So I'll go back to the layer button and come down to laminate. I'll come over to my properties and choose near rail, change my carbon, go to the details, and I'll try 1350 from the nose and 50 from the tail, and I'll put it right out to the edge, so I'll go down to 0. You can use a negative number as well if you want to push it further out. I might just angle cut these just so it looks a bit nicer, so I'll go to inner tail and I'll go angle cut, and inner nose and I'll go angle cut, and that's looking nicer already. I'm going to add a little splatter spray as well. It's just an image that I've downloaded off Vector Stock off the net. So I'll just come down to decals, upload a decal, and here we go, paint splatter. So I'm just going to eye this one in, get looking kinda. So when you're doing this in the spray bay, you've just got to be careful that it only ends up on the board you want and not over the rest of the boards in the booth, like I've managed to do before. Just drag it down so it goes under my other layers. That's a bit better. Let's just try that. How's that looking in 3D? No, I don't know. Looks a bit funny. I don't know. You get the idea anyway. If you want more control than what a decal layer gives, we've got another option here. It's called a custom layer. So if I click on that, it allows you to download a square template. So I might as well just download it now so I can have a look. So this is the template, and you can take this into any graphics program like Photoshop or GIMP or Illustrator, and then you can just use this image as a reference image. So you add another layer, draw whatever you want over the top of it, and then come back into PocketQuiver and upload the square image, and it'll go exactly where you put it. So there is another tutorial coming just on using custom layers, so if you want to find out more information, just check that out. Alright, so that's our design pretty much done. So I'm going to go and save that and close and go back to our edit board page, and there's the skin just processing now. So we never really talked a lot about the other options. So like we've got board type, model logo, descriptions. Down further we can choose a brand, and then just some shape details, so you can add in as much or as little as you want, and these only really come into play with the view online option or some other export options. So if I click on up, and I've just, because my board isn't published yet, I can't view it, so I'll just go back, hit published, save that, and now I go to view online, and as you can see it isn't finished yet, so don't worry about the view online for the moment. It will be like an HTML page that you can view and send to people. So we've got a couple of other export options as well. These are still very much in progress as well. We've got the email, a download pack, which just creates a zip file with all the images, slices, outlines, and text data of the information that you've uploaded. So it's meant for like your website or to send to a retailer or something like that. And your other option there is Facebook, so you can share your image and a description to Facebook. But those are all in the pipeline, so we'll let you know when they are all go. Alright, well now let's go and see if that skin is processed. So now I'll go and create a new render. If you click on this button, I've only got one skin. It is selected. The simple render is the board just with a transparent background, a little bit of a shadow behind it. So it's just really versatile for your website, something like that. You can only choose one view at a time. We'll be adding multiple select soon, but at the moment you just got to choose a view, render that, and go back and do another. But I'll just go back and we'll choose a studio render. So the studio render's got a floor and studio lighting, so it just looks a little bit more realistic. Click on next. Top side is good, and I'll choose a white floor and hit OK, and there it goes. So this has got the same problem as the CAD files have. So if you sit here, you're just going to be waiting all day. So I'll just cancel out, go back to the board, and it is still thinking about it. Oh, there we go. So you can click on it, and I've got an option to export it, but I'll just view the high-res image, and there we are. So you can download that as well. You just hit download and it'll download to your downloads folder. Something I didn't go through is you can set your gloss settings as well. That's set at a bit of a matte setting, but there is a setting in there for gloss and matte. So that's just a basic run through. There's obviously a lot more that you can do. I'll try and upload more tutorials in the near future. If you've got any questions in the meantime, don't be afraid to give us a bell and we can jump online and work through your problems. There's probably going to be a few bugs, but just bear with us and just let us know anything that's going wrong, and we'll help you out. So yeah, that's it. Go get into it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Alright, cheers.